Mr. Clyde Elder, good morning to you.
Comrade.
Comrade Clyde Elder.
Yes.
Right.
Morning, Christy. How are you?
I'm not too bad, and yourself?
I'm good, and thanks for having me on this set.
It's a very big day for you. Negotiations?
Well, not today, Thursday.
Thursday,
Today we
sorry.
meet as a negotiating team. We have started this negotiation with TSCU. I should say resumed.
Resumed, yes, because I know it
negotiation
has
with
been
TSCT.
something ongoing.
Yes, we are the Ministry of Labour. After 4 meetings, TSCT finally moved from 000 to 001.
That's some good news.
Yeah, well, if they took 4 weeks to move by 1%, and we were looking to settle, let's assume at 10. With 40 weeks to go.
Wow, that's a long time. I mean, in terms of progress, though, at least, you know.
Yeah, and I think the general feeling in the negotiating team is that at least they're not stuck on 0-0 anymore.
Yes.
They have moved from 0-0.
Yes.
I've said to TSCT, and I keep repeating, that 0-0 could never be an offer. So if you say, well, what are you offering me?
Just say nothing.
I'm
Just
offering nothing. Well,
really?
then why are you negotiating? Because you offer me nothing.
Yeah.
And 000 is not an offer. Certainly 001 is a better offer than 000.
So technically, this is your first offer, real offer.
That's correct. That's correct. So it's the first offer, and it is mixed with some COLA issues as well.
Okay.
So it's not just a simple case of 1%. There are other things to consider in terms of the company's proposal. We'll meet today as a team, we'll consider all of that, and when we resume on Thursday, we are going to give the company our counter proposal.
And how has the members received this news?
Well, the company offered that last week Thursday. We asked for further information, which is sent yesterday. So we have not gone out to the membership as yet to let them know, well, this is the state and this is the position. Because we still have to meet as a team before we go out to the membership and inform them this is where we're at and ask them for a mandate. Right? Of course, in negotiations, you can't settle, or you should not settle, I should say, unless you get the approval of your members to say, yes, we'll accept that, go ahead and settle. Because our structure, if you remember, the union structure is not top-down, it's down-up.
Yes.
Yeah? So when we go to them, we are hopeful that they will say, well, the union is on the right path and continue, and if we feel we could settle at some point, then we settle. The thing is striking a balance now between what is and what
Should be.
And that's a delicate balance we need to strike.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to end up in a situation where you fight for so much for the workers, which you are supposed to, by the way, but you then end up in a position where the company can no longer continue and you end up like a petrotrain. So that balance has to be delicately struck.
If I could just ask you, now there has been a lot of talk about the retirement age.
Yes.
So I would have seen Senator Alison West talk about she wanted to move the retirement age from 60 to 65.
Yes.
What is your take on that?
Well, I don't agree with that. You'd have given a lot of years to any organization. And I think if you really are to enjoy the years that you have worked, my own personal goal is to retire at 55.
Right.
That's my personal goal. At 55, I shouldn't be working for anybody. If I want to work, that's my choice. But I think that the retirement age should not be increased to 65. Now, I understand that they may have some problems with the continuation of the National Insurance Fund and all that. But treat that in a different way other than raising the retirement age. And I think that you should allow persons to enjoy their retirement and their older years to do what they couldn't do when they were younger.
Very true.
Yeah.
Or try to incorporate them in other ways into the jobs. Because I mean, sometimes you retire at a certain age, but you still you still have this life in you and you want to give back. You know, but
and nothing's wrong with that.
No, that's
But
fine.
as Comrade Kova was saying, it becomes unworkable, in my opinion, when you have persons who have been working for 40 years and you have a young person who's just graduated from university, from high school, what have you, looking for a job. And because you are there and you refuse to move, you prevent somebody else from coming on board. And I think there should be some kind of, as Comrade Kuba said, mentorship kind of program
Yeah.
taking place,
Yeah.
where you don't block somebody from coming
new
into the
people from
market,
coming in, yeah.
but at the same time you still have something to give back, and you can give it back. So for young people, they have a on-the-job training. Maybe for the older ones, they should have an on-the-job apprenticeship, right? Mentorship, sorry,
Yeah.
where you give back to the young persons who come on.
So you're saying that 60 is a good age for retirement? Or 55?
Well,
in your
for,
case,
me, for me, it's 55. You know, that's just my personal goal. But I think it should remain at 60.
What is the latest with TSTT in terms of any way forward? I know the last time you were here.
TSTT, there's so many things to talk about TSTT. There's the financial front, there's the human resource front, there's the technological front,
Right.
And then there's the general welfare and well-being of the company.
Let's talk about the general welfare and well-being of the company.
I don't think it is in a good place. I don't think that the retrenchment exercise was well thought out. I don't think that the persons who are in the company making decisions are making the correct decisions for the company. I don't think that the persons who are there really have the interests of the company at heart, and maybe there's another plan that is at play, a bigger plan, to maybe systematically decimate TSTT, maybe promote Amplia and ensure Amplia
Amplia has
flourishes,
been
and TSTT
creeping
goes
out.
by the wayside.
Yeah, Amplia has been. I mean, if you call TSTT, you get a Amplia message now.
Yes,
so.
and that's because TSTT has moved all its residential customers from TSTT to Amplia, especially fiber customers. And for the customers who are still on copper, you'll realize that if you have a problem with your telephone line, it's a copper line, TSTT is not fixing it. They in fact provided you with something called WTTX, which is a wireless service.
Right.
And they keep that, but the lucrative part of the company, which is the fiber part, they have sent that across to Amplia. And there's a reason for that. You see, when TSTT bought Amplia, it never made a profit in its years of operation. It never ever made a profit.
Okay.
And it will continue to not make a profit. So what TSTT did is say, look, listen, let's take some of our lucrative business and give it to them so they will look good. So that it will look like if we did something good to buy Amplia. When we all know that Amplia was a very bad buy. It was money badly spent.
Yeah.
And that's why I say TSTT is not in a good place right now in terms of the management, in terms of the overall state of where it should be. It is not in a good place. Is there hope? Yes, there's always hope. I think that with a change in operations, maybe a change in management, it can survive, and it will survive, because TSTT at the end of the day is the one true indigenous telecommunications company existing in Trinidad and Tobago right now.
And in terms of its financial status?
Well, we wait to see. They're supposed to declare their profit or loss since the end of March, because they're financially around from April 1st to March 31st.
Right.
But we are now in July.
And nothing
And for
as
some
yet.
strange reason, they have not declared their financial position as yet.
Interesting.
And I believe that is because TSTT is poised to declare a loss of, in my opinion, of somewhere in the vicinity of $1 billion. Whether or
and
not,
that is only for the period ending?
that's for the period
March?
April 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2019.
Okay.
And that was the period that we had the retrenchment. That was the period that a lot of money was spent on fiber. That was the period that that they would have also tried their best to prop up Amplia and all that.
Yeah.
So you're going to see some loss for this financial year. And I think they're hoping that it will pick up for the 2019 to 2020 period. Whether or not that happens, we'll wait and see.
So heading into Thursday's meeting,
Yeah.
what is your mind frame?
Well, I remain open, optimistic, positive that the parties, that is CWU and TSTT, can settle negotiations around the table. I certainly will not want to leave it for another entity to have it resolved vis-a-vis the industrial court. While you will go to court and you may get a good judgment, that is a chance. It's like playing the lotto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would not want to leave your fate in somebody else's hands. And if you could decide your fate for yourself, then so be it. You should do that. And I think that we can do it at the negotiating table. I think the union is a reasonable union. We are not saying to the company that despite the fact that you may not be able to pay, you still have to pay and all of that. No, we are willing to say to the company, look, listen, we can eat little and live long, right? So I'm hopeful that we can settle a negotiation around the table, and I remain optimistic that it will happen around the table. It may not happen Thursday, but it could still happen.
Well, I mean, if we waited 4 weeks to get some sort of feedback.
Well, not feedback. We had 4 weeks for them to move from 0 to 1.
0 to 1, right.
Because in that 4 weeks we have been meeting. We have 4 meetings, and they were stuck concretizing their 0.
Yeah.
With some negotiations across the table, they have moved from 000 to 001, which is good. We will put up counter proposal, as I said, on Thursday. When we caucus today, we'll decide what that counter proposal is going to be, and of course, before we settle, we'll go to the membership and at least let the membership know this is what is on the table. Do we have the go-ahead to accept or not?
Now, negotiations itself is a long and tedious process. Sometimes it could take hours and hours and hours.
Yes.
How do you deal with it?
Well, it is part of the job. In fact, about 2 meetings ago when we met with TSTT, I had envisioned in my mind, because they were so stuck and concretized in 000, that we're not going to take more than an hour. They came with something kind of what we were not expecting, but an offer nonetheless. Before the 001, that is. And it took us into the late afternoon. And of course, being a trade unionist, you have to be prepared for all eventualities, for long days, for long nights, and for all kind of things that will happen and come your way. So it's part of the job. I mean, when you decide to be leading a union, you understand that these are things that come with the territory. And you need to have people around you who understand that as well, and can also be part of that process and part of that team, and stick to it, and ensure that we hold on and hold out to the very end. And that's what unions do best.
Yeah. This morning, I was talking to Mr. Indara Singh about union busting, and I know it's something you've also been pretty vocal about. Have you seen any changes thus far? Anything for the better or for the worse?
Well, the short answer is no. There have been no changes. Maybe because of all the things that's been happening in terms of all the voices coming out. I know there were talks about WASA. There were talks about the port. There were talks about T and Tech.
And speaking
about
and
right now, that is kind of like on hold, on pause, right? Whether or not is the calm before the storm, I mean, we'll wait to see. Keeping in mind that there's local government election and general elections to come.
You know, one would imagine
it may be bad for optics where that is concerned.
One would imagine that because the elections are right around the corner, like you rightly said, local elections and then general elections, the process to get negotiations done, it should be hastened. But you would think so. You would think so.
Yeah, you would think
but in actuality,
you will think so. I mean, just look at what's happening with PSC and the government right now. The PSA is waiting on the Minister of Finance, and they were supposed to meet, I think it was today, and then for next 2 weeks now he's waiting on some cabinet decision or what have you, whatever it is. But I think it may be a ploy or plan to just drag on a little bit, and see how people react and see how people behave and see how they themselves could maneuver and massage certain things and positions to get something that they might be comfortable to live with. But whether or not the union busting has stopped, no, it hasn't stopped. In fact, if it had stopped, you realize that Franklin Camp made some statements recently saying that most likely, more than likely, the refinery will go to a foreigner.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now, had they not been on union busting, he would have simply kept his mouth shut.
But what is interesting to note is that this is sensitive information.
It is.
And it's revealed on a platform. It's not. I'm not sure if negotiations are even over.
It is not.
Right,
and
so
that's
the
the thing.
bidding is still ongoing.
The government has said, look, listen, we have over 50 persons who are interested in the assets of what was formerly Petrotrade. You know that. You have a process going on. You know it is public knowledge that OWT is part of that bidding process. It is public knowledge that OWT formed a company called Patriotic, I think it's Patriotic, whatever it is, Trinidad Limited or whatever it is. And nonetheless, here is Minister Khan coming out and making these statements in violation of the confidentiality and secrecy of that process. It tells you that while he may have spoken maybe out of turn, maybe, that the government is hell-bent on ensuring that they do what it can, what it has to do to ensure that OWT no longer has a sniff of a chance in the oil industry.
But I don't think that was the best way in which it was done.
I mean, there was no good way to do it. It should not have been done at all. It should not have been done at all. And Franklin Khan, throughout this whole Petrotrin debacle, he has been at the forefront there making all kind of ridiculous, inaccurate, nonsensical statements, and it continues. Remember, he was the one who said a carpenter was working for $75,000 in Petrotrin.
Yeah. I think people look at the salary that Petrotrin workers get, and somehow they get kind of turned off by it. But I think we in Trinidad, we settle for so little bit that when you see somebody actually getting something substantial, you're surprised.
And you know what's happening, Christy? Because of what's happened with Petrotrin, because of what has been happening at TSTT, and because of what the government has been trying to do systematically, attacking the higher paid income earners, they have now suppressed the wage market.
Yes.
So before where those at the bottom will look to aspire to the top,
migrant
they have
labor
now bring the top to the bottom. Exactly. And with migrant labor coming in now, it's going to make it even harder and even worse.
It's going to be beneficial for the businesses, but not for the economy in the long term.
That's correct. And you see, this government, this PNM government, I had to just check myself there because there are some adjectives I normally use before I say PNM government.
Right.
But this PNM government is a 1% PNM government. This PNM government is not the PNM government that even the PNMites who are sycophant PNMs is comfortable with, Even the grassroots PNM person is not comfortable because they know at the end of the day, what Prime Minister Rowley is doing is appeasing to the 1%. This is a 1% PNM government. This is not the PNM government that the people who are diehard PNM fans have been accustomed to